Hey everybody, this is Tom Sorsey again, here to talk about another bowling ball with John Zerbinski, once again, Roto Grip staffer. How's it going, John?
Hey.
Today we are talking about the No Rules Exist. We'll get right into it. No Rules Exist, Reckless cover, is that on any other balls?
Yeah, that's on the Daredevil trick.
Okay, so the Daredevil trick, which we saw in the last video.
Yes.
So we're going to see something kind of similar to that too, which is nice. Chaotic core, I assume the same as the original No Rules and the No Rules Pro, correct?
Very much so.
So 251, 053, what does that say to you?
Just strong core, a little bit on the lower RG side, something that just wants to get turned and it just wants to just, be strong.
Lower RG, we're near the maximum differential, so
Yeah.
a lot of flare, right?
Absolutely.
Asymmetrical, so it's really going to want to get that core stood up, right?
Yes.
Getting to the axis that it wants to roll on.
Yeah, they all have that tendency for sure.
Take a look at yours here. 60 by 5 by 35, what we call the standard John Zerbinski layout, correct?
Yeah.
No hole as always, right?
Yeah.
And we're on that same Athens 40 foot as the last video with the show off. This one, I believe, was done right after the show off, so they're still relatively fresh lanes. Starting a little further left, the pattern was a little more broken down from you throwing all those shots before, right?
Yes.
So we're looking at something probably around the game 2-3 range. What do you see with this right out of the gate here?
I feel it's something that I have to keep in front of me. We have to keep our angles closed, and something that it still wants to see the lane soon and kind of be a little bit on the smoother side of shape-wise.
It looks to me like you can really see that core really wants to stand up, really wants to get moving, but it's not necessarily quick response because that cover stock is seeing, you can see on some of the shots here, it takes that long distance to make its move, but that core is a different characteristic than what we saw with the Daredevil trick.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that just shows you the dominance of that core, how early it is, and how much it still wants to kind of go forward.
And you still think that this is something more usable earlier on in blocks, when we need to keep our angles more closed, but this is probably something that is on lower volume patterns, right? This is not as strong as the show-off, correct?
Yes.
So we've got something that's a similar sort of slower response time, but on the medium to medium high side of friction. Still pretty strong, but not as strong as the strongest balls, right?
Correct, yes.
So the ball we threw it against today is the No Rules Pearl for obvious reasons, the same ball with a pearlized cover stock. So we would expect it to be quicker response and a little lower friction, right?
Yes, and that's, No Rules Pearl became one of my favorite balls just because I feel like it's very versatile. I'm able to still use it a little bit earlier in blocks, being a little bit more forward, higher ball speed. But then it's something that you can also move further left with it and kind of shape it.
Most quick response balls, in my experience, have also been on the lower friction side, which has been sort of weird when there's a lot of volume on the lane, when there's a lot of oil down lane. Some of the quick response balls aren't that usable because they're not strong enough to deal with that.
Yes.
Whereas this is much stronger than most quick response balls, so it's more usable when there's a lot more oil on the lane and oil down lane, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's where you can see right now just how much it wants to change direction once it gets down to the end of the pattern.
It's a relatively fresh pattern still,
Yeah.
so we're seeing it really want to jump off of that friction at the end of the pattern because it's still very, very early on.
Yes, absolutely. So, you can see in some of the shots that just how much further left I have to be, and then the couple that I was further to the right and with a little bit more closed angles, it just was very tough for me to keep it on the right side of the head pin. So that's where I'm, at 20 or left to 20 right now in these few shots, 25, that it just looks that much more of a better ball motion thrown with that much further left.
With the open angles, right?
Correct.
So let's take a look at a couple slow-mo shots here. First, with the Exist, we're looking at the distance that it takes to make its move. Very, very smooth shape right here. It's taking a lot of distance to make its move very, very slowly, right?
Yes.
And then if we're going to go to the No Rules Pearl from the same spot down lane, we'll see right here, it just really wants to make that check, that very strong move. It's making its turn in a very shorter distance, right?
For sure, and that's where you can see where it hits the pocket as well. You can see that the No Rules Pearl tends to want to be more on the left side of the pocket in this particular shot, whereas the No Rules Exist same idea, same part of the lane. It wanted to be a little more on the right side of the pocket, just a slower ball motion.
Right. It was just not making as sharp of a move off the friction
Yes.
as the Pearl was.
Absolutely.
So you've got two balls here that are probably very good off of each other, right? You have the no rules exist that you could be using early on in the blocks when you're keeping your angles more closed. And then if you need to get to something quicker, you have basically the exact same ball with that quicker response cover stock when you have to move left and that no rules exist starts to clack, right?
Yes, absolutely. So you should just be able to go right into it like you're alluding to.
From one right into the other.
Yes.
So to kind of summarize here, no rules exist, medium-high friction. This is still a pretty strong ball, but not as strong as the show-off, per se.
Yep.
Which would make sense because we talked about in the last video that the Daredevil trick was slightly lower friction than the show-off. And this is the same cover stock, so that would kind of hold true.
For sure.
Still, slow response is the best use for it, though, right? It's not really going to get the job done having to open your angles up, especially early on. You need to have the angles more closed, keeping it more in front of you, using it more toward the fresh, right?
Fresh back ends where it's where they're pretty dry and they want to kind of jump. This is where that ball comes into play because it'll be a little bit on the smoother side and a little easier, more easy to control.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys like that we're able to kind of put a little slow motion in there to be able to kind of really let you see the ball motion because the camera is so far away, and the reason that we do that is because we want you to actually see what the ball does and not an optical illusion of what it does. And that's why I wanted to try to make sure we use the slow motion to show you guys, to give you a better idea of being able to see it properly from the distance away that it is. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. As usual, you can find me or John on Facebook. I'm at facebook.com/TMSorsey. John is facebook.com/JohnZerbinskiAthlete. At Twitter, I'm at Tom Sorsey. John is at John_SZCZ. YouTube.com/TomSorsey. We're gonna try to get a bunch of videos out by the end of the year, in December.
Can't wait to do it.
And then we're gonna have some changes next year. We have some pretty cool ideas about. We're getting some help with some camera stuff, and I know a guy's gonna help with some music. So we're gonna try to really spice it up a little bit starting in January. But we're still gonna have a few more before the end of the year. John, thank you again.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be a part of this.
Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, leave them on the YouTube page or find us on Facebook or Twitter, and we are always glad to talk to you guys. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.